ladies and gentlemen. This is a special episode, a special broadcast from Radio Azad. It's very rare to have an interview at this hour and in this show, Bol Kilab Azad and Tere. But today we have a very special guest in the studio, and we're going to talk to him also. He is a doctor. His name is Dr.Nimr Ikram. And he's a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, but that's not why he's here today. We're not going to talk about that. But the reason is his unique opportunity and experience for him to go and visit Gaza amidst all the miseries and all the horrors of war a couple of weeks back. So I thought we should invite him over and learn from him, understand the situation and feel what's happening in Gaza, as most of us are worried about it. So before going forward, I need to tell you this whole conversation, because predominantly the language of the show is Urdu and Hindi, but this show is going to be in English, because Dr. Saab jo hai, unki Urdu gulabi hai jaisi hamari Angrezi gulabi hai. So we are trying to keep it in because it's a lot of flow of emotion. And I really want him to talk in his language of thought, the first language. So we're going to talk to him about it also. But before that, on behalf of Radio Azad, on behalf of our listeners, contributors, and followers of Radio Azad, I welcome to the studio of Radio Azad, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for having me here today. Again, I do speak Urdu, like, and again, I kind of go in and out of both. So I'll do half Urdu, half English.
Perfect. Walaikum salam from on behalf of the audience and the listeners also. Before jumping on to talk about the topic, I would really want you to acquaint us with who Dr. Nimr Ikram is, with your unique name, Nimr also. And it's just like what you're comfortable with sharing with people, where you're born, you're raised, and then the education and the family and anything, because of the kind of talk that we're going to get involved in. I really want people to know you a bit before that.
Sure. Alhamdulillah, I mean, my parents are from Pakistan. Obviously, I'm here. My father was from Lahore, my mother was from Karachi. And so Nimr is an Arabic name. Mm-hmm. So when my father was 18 years old, he moved to Saudi Arabia. And then, so I was born here in the U.S. My wife is from Karachi. Karachi say. So again, I still do go back to Karachi, and Karachi is pretty much our home, away from home. Mm-hmm. So alhamdulillah, we still go back to Karachi and things. But that's how the unique name came. That it is an Arab name, and we are Khwaja. Originally is Khwaja Nimr Ikram. Mm-hmm. So
and so again, it means tiger.
It does. Tiger. Yes. So I don't know why they thought, what they thought.
But there's another word, but there is another connotation to it also. It means the way, the path also.
Oh, maybe. So
yes. Yeah.
So yeah. So then alhamdulillah, I was born here, but my parents were very strict. They kept our Islamic roots here, Pakistani roots, So again, I was born in New York, but then they moved to Michigan when I was 3. Mm-hmm. And so then from all my life, I studied in Michigan, did all my studies there. I went to medical school there, did my residency, and was in school there for about 11 years. So not in school, but in practice. And then I got married. We have 4 kids. So we thought we needed something bigger and better. So alhamdulillah, Dallas has a thriving Pakistani Muslim community.
Everything is bigger.
Alhamdulillah, right? So yes. So alhamdulillah, we moved down here Christmas of 2012. So it's alhamdulillah over 11 years. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Mashallah. So and then let's talk about the experience that you had. Did you volunteer for it, or is something that came about to you? And if someone wants to do it, everybody would be wondering, how did that happen?
Yeah, so there was a group that, there was an NGO group one of my friends is part of. So again, we have this big Muslim group here in Dallas. And so one of my friends is like, oh, there's a group that's going. They had come back in August. Mm-hmm. And so after October 7th, they're like, hey, they're looking for surgeons to help out. And so they said, why don't you sign up for that? So I said, sure, inshallah, if I can do some good, inshallah, let me do that. So then I signed up with them, and they said, it's not safe right now. We're not sending any groups right now. There's another group, IMANA, which is the Islamic Medical Association of North America. They said, we're not sending any groups right now. So mera ek dost that he called me up and he said, hey, I'm part of this Med Global. I'm going January 23rd. Aap bhi aa jaye. So aur sab log keh rahe hain, it's not safe. How are we going to go? I've gone with them before. If anything is even questionable, we go with the World Health Organization, the UN. If anything's questionable, they won't allow us to go. So we were supposed to go like mid-February, March, like this time, where we are right now. And then Achanak, the orthopedic surgeon who was supposed to go initially, he was Palestinian. And again, all this is, even though it's the World Health Organization, Israel still kind of, tells who can go, who can't go. Because he had some Palestinian roots, he's not allowed to go. So then they contacted me and they said, yeah, we have all your, all your credentials and everything. We have a full group, but we don't have a surgeon anymore. Can you move your trip up to January? So initially when I had signed up for February, inshallah, ceasefire ho jayega, be safe, everything of that sort. Like, now all of a sudden, everything just kind of moved up to January. So I said, no, inshallah, and then I talked to the wife and the kids. Okay, yeah, again, this is life, this is our test. They're being tested every day. This is, their life. Allah has tested me to get a chance to go and help them out for 2 weeks. And again, but I said, it's an active war going on there. There's no question about it. I may or may not come back. So again, of course, it was a conversation that we had in the family, but again, I'm sort of saying, jab aapka time aata, it's everything is written. So again, what's better to, pass away in Plano, Texas, or to pass away, helping out people in Gaza. So again, the wife and family, again, everything's falling in place. So inshallah, Allah aapko leke chala jayega, wapas leke aa jayega. Humne kaha bilkul sahi, right? So ye to.
So Doctor, I actually would want, I personally also, and for the audience also, would want to understand and feel the situation there through your eyes and your mind and your heart. So you just have to go slow with us, okay? And we want to savor the whole, the whole trip that you had and the experience that you went through.
Right.
So when the opportunity came about, you discussed with your family. So there must be mixed kind of feelings and comments coming from them. So tell me, how did you deal with it, and how were they dealing with it? And because of the way our brought up is also, and then whatever is happening, we are so sentimentally attached to it also. We are so worried about it also. And at the end of the day, the reality of war will also sink in. It also does kind of sinks in and sink in, and then your loved ones, you were the most important person for them also at the same time. So how did this whole thing happen, and how did you deal with it?
Again, like I said, we had the whole discussion, and again, my kids are 22, 21, 20, and 18. So they're not chote, like again, they're not independent, they're not on their own. No, I said they're not chote. I said there's 22, 21, 20, and 18. So they're teenagers and a little bit up, but all in college, in high school and things. So they're not independent.
Well, I was not expecting that, you and Bobby, because I've met you today, but I've met her also, and I couldn't tell that you guys have like
are that old.
Yeah, you guys are keeping really well, and you are blessed also. Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. So of course,
so these kids also have a say.
Of course,
they are adults now. And their emotions and everything.
Sure.
So what was their views?
Yeah, so it's funny because like my youngest, he's my entrepreneur, he's the business mind. So he's always throwing these ideas out. Dad, we should do this. Dad, how about if we start this? How about if I do this? Of course, so I said, yeah, we can do things. So he was the one, Dad, if something happens to you, I probably have to get like a 9-to-5 job, right? You're my security blanket for all these crazy ideas, man. Inshallah, I'll be back.
Very realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the kids were realistic. And alhamdulillah, my daughter, she's working, and my son, he's doing digital marketing, social media, and those kinds of things. But again, he's still in college. But we said, alhamdulillah, I said, I have a life insurance plan. I have money put away. So
how many were against the motion?
Alhamdulillah, none of them were really against it.
Yeah, okay.
Because obviously we were all scared, right? But again, they said, alhamdulillah, the parents have raised us well. Again, we teach the same thing to our kids. Again, Allah knows what's best. Allah's going to do what's best for us, no matter what happens. Allah ke qadar mein hai, kya kar sakte. So again, if I was going to pass away here or there, it's not the same thing. Like, and again, whenever your time is limited, your time is limited.
Sure.
It's better if you go there, die a shaheed, your sara cheez, if it were to happen. And I said, if not, then inshallah, we're going to get more barakah, because again, we took this huge step to go, right? And to do something that, not many people are able to do. So, we thought, alhamdulillah, I have an opportunity, a skill set that not many people have. So alhamdulillah, from my standpoint, I said, they're not asking everyone. They're asking a select few people to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So alhamdulillah, this is, the skill set that Allah gave me. So let me try to help, the people out there.
So when you get past this stage of when everybody's saying, okay, now you can go. So now this is your turn to tell them, okay, I'm coming. Yeah, we are going. And then to the team of volunteers that you were committed to.
Right.
And then tell me the experience of you understanding because you have seen the visuals, you have seen the videos, you have seen the footage and everything, what's happening, and the kind of destruction that is taking place over there. From that moment when you decided, yes, I'm going to go now, from that moment on till the time you landed there, and you also kindly tell us about the mode of transportation also, because it's not a regular way of kind of going to Gaza these days. So tell me the whole thing that was going through your mind, because we have human beings, mind gets really, really anxious. Even you're a surgeon, getting into a surgery, before that your mind is racing, you have no control over your emotions, adrenaline, and a lot of other things that is happening. So tell me about, how exactly living in your head, what was happening.
Yeah. So say though, again, I mean, first and foremost, I'm like, okay, what can I take with me to help them out the most? So again, I talked to, the problem is, I knew that the operating rooms there wouldn't be fully functional. Again, you hear these stories about they're not having anesthesia, they don't have proper supplies, they don't have anything to clean with. So for me, I'm like, let me take whatever I can to do as best as I can. So I knew that there would be a lot of like wounds, either from shrapnel or bombs or, all this kind of stuff. So I said, let me at least take things that I can do to help them out there. So I went to Haiti when they had the earthquake back, I think it was in 2010. So again, that was another time that I went. So I had an idea of, obviously that wasn't a war, but it was a natural disaster. So again, the things that we saw there, crush injuries, burns, different things of that sort. So things that need to be cleaned up regularly and things. So I said, I'm sure this will be the same situation here. And then from us, there's some orthopedic supplies that I could take that, that we hold the bones out to length, putting in what's called an external fixator. So again, trying to put things on just to hold things, to let things heal up, because if you don't have plates and screws and those kind of things, at least this will keep things in line for people that inshallah will help them out later on. So for me, I'm like, okay, let me talk to the hospital. So there was a hospital that I'm in Mesquite, and I said, hey, I'm going on this mission. And alhamdulillah, the lady who's in charge, she is very religious Christian, but again, she's, God-fearing person. She's like, no, I want to help out as much as I can. She said, we have this whole warehouse of saman, whatever you need, whenever you can take. I mean, it's, close to being expired or expired. She said, take whatever you can. So I said, alhamdulillah, so again, I did that. And then for me, like cleanings like iodine and povidone, something that, clean up all these wounds and things of that sort, blades, because again, a lot of times they don't even have, just scalpels or anything of that sort. And then dressings, because I said who knows what kind of dressing we have. So
So you were anticipating everything and then preparing accordingly.
Yeah, whichever.
As a surgeon.
Right, as much as I could. And then again, I had one of the reps that, that I do different things, they donated us a bunch of stuff as well, per se. So I said, okay, let me start doing those kinds of things to get that. And other than that, I'm like, I'm going to take a few clothes and that's it, because again, I took like 3 suitcases full of medical supplies and things. And then I said, only thing I have is what's in my backpack. And I said, I'm going to be there. I think it ended up like 10 days in Gaza itself. So I took, I think like 7-8 pairs of scrubs. And then I didn't think there was going to be any food there, so they said, bring some supplies. So I brought protein bars, tuna packets, peanut butter crackers, I said, the little like electrolyte packets you put in pani, to drink and things like that. So I said, that's all we're going to have. I didn't anticipate that we would have anything else. So basically, I just got a backpack full of just my own things, and that was it.
And you left with a group of people from where, and what was the whole journey?
Yeah, so the group is called Med Global, and so I was the only one from Dallas. So there was a plastic surgeon from the Virginia area, there was an anesthesiologist from Portland, there was a ICU doc from New York, and then there was 2 nurses. One was from the Virginia area as well, and the other one was from New Mexico. So we didn't meet up here, so we all flew into Cairo. And so then we met up in Cairo, and then the next day we had to meet with the World Health Organization and the UN. We had a couple of different meetings. And so, they were like, this is a war, this is a war zone. We can't take responsibility for you. You guys know going in there that there's a chance that, you may be injured, you may die, things of that sort. So
whenever they were saying things like that, because they give a lot of disclaimers like that,
right.
when they're sending people like,
Sure.
with your skills and everything, but they keep giving those disclaimers. With every disclaimer, how are you feeling now? Because you were getting into the heat of the moment and stuff.
Yeah, no, alhamdulillah, like I said, I mean,
you have already made up
full
your mind,
tawakkul in Allah. Yeah, that again, he had, again, like I said, things just kind of fell into place. So I said, alhamdulillah, he wants me to go, inshallah, he'll take me there and bring me back safe and sound.
And the rest of the people with you, the crew, how many? There were 6 members?
Yes.
So how were they feeling? What were their body language and everything?
So, again, we were all excited. I mean, we had all signed up and we knew, but it was interesting because there was only 4 Muslim and there was 2 non-Muslim. One was an atheist and one was kind of, she said she didn't really believe in any kind of religion.
The right kind of people to go with you guys.
Yeah, right. So, man,
I did the believers of totally non-believers so that you know exactly what's happening.
Right.
How to interpret the whole experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was quite interesting. So, again, I asked the one who was an atheist, yeah, you don't believe, why are you doing this? She's like, I said, if you're wrong and there is an Allah or there is a God, she said, no, if there's a God, then I'm doing such good work, then inshallah, and she said, inshallah, like, well, you can't say again.
There's a glimpse of belief in every non.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's like, I'm doing good. I should still get the benefit from that. So, no, so I mean, when we went there, I mean, we all, again, we all knew what we were going into. So there was no surprise. There was anything of that sort.
You must have gone through some country before and
so into Egypt. Yeah. Yeah. So we flew into Egypt, and then from Egypt you have a bus, and there was like 6 different NGOs that were all collected in Egypt. So there was about 30 people. And so we had like 14 vans, cars, whatever. And so the plus with this is, again, no aid is going into Egypt. So whatever you can take with these NGOs can take with them, that's what they allow in. So again, we had 14 vans full of different medical supplies and this and that, and whatever we could bring in. And so then we left at like Fajr, I think it was Monday morning, and you have like 6 or 8 different checkposts. So again, I mean, even though you have to, in advance, we told them we're coming, this is the day we're coming, this is the day we're going to be entering, still every day, there's 6 different checkposts you have to check, give them the passports, they do whatever kind of deal.
So it was considered a UN mission?
Yes. Yeah,
that's how they were.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So then, so usually it should take about 7 to 8 hours to the drive from Cairo to Rafah, but it ended up with all these checkposts. It ended up taking like 14 hours before we ended up like actually in Gaza itself. So, and the one thing,
what was the first thing once you were entering Gaza? What was the first thing that struck you?
So the first thing that struck us is even before we entered Gaza. So again, when we're driving from Cairo to Gaza, probably, a few miles beforehand, you just see all these trucks of humanitarian aid just sitting on the side of the road. So, the world has, donated all these things, all these trucks, but they're not allowed to enter. So again, all this stuff is, either being wasted or is just sitting there, can't enter. So before this even started, there were 500, 600 trucks a day that would enter into Gaza, to help the people out, because this didn't start on October 7th. This has been going on since 1947. So now I think, only 50 or 60, trucks are allowed to enter per day. So that was the first eye opener. Again, we're like, this is ridiculous. In this day and age, 2024, when the world has so much and these people are here dying, they have no food, they have no water, they don't have anything. And there's trucks right literally a mile outside the border and they're not allowed in. So, I mean, that was the first thing that we said, we said, astaghfirullah, this is unbelievable. What kind of world are we living in that this can go on?
And when you entered?
So when you ask about like our mindset and things like that sort, so, we knew that all the fighting was in the north and we were going to be in the south in Rafah. So it was supposed to be a quote safe zone. And so in the safe zone, we figured, we'd be okay. Literally, we would enter into Gaza, and it's dark. It's 8 o'clock at night now. It's after Maghrib time. So we enter and we meet the team over there and we load our stuff into the van. And we're like, was that gunfire that we just heard? Like, yeah, but that was kind of far away, and then we're like, okay. And then, then we're driving, and all of a sudden we're like, is that a bomb that we just heard? And they're like, yeah, but that's far away. I mean, for them, it's just background noise. I mean, again, so there's no safe zone there at all kind of deal. So even when we were, in the quote area,
with certain miles or kilometers,
Correct.
how safe can it be, and
Yeah, exactly.
how you have to see the horrors of war and the way
Correct.
things are happening, or at least hear it
Yeah.
often.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that's what happened. So then we're like, okay, so obviously the first couple, the first night we're kind of, this is real, this is, going on.
You could
And
hear the shots and the cannons firing and everything.
so I think most of it, because again, yeah, you could hear some further away, but I think a lot of drones drop bombs. So again, that's where, you'll hear the bombs going off and things. And so every night, the other thing too is the drones are, they're from sunset to sunrise. So usually like 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, you have drones going overhead.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just to disrupt the people's sleep or what. And that was the other shocking thing, is as we entered into Gaza, that was one thing. But then, we, alhamdulillah, we were able to stay at a house. Med Global has a house. But as we're driving from the airport to the house, there's just thousands of tents, because everyone from the north is displaced in the south. So no one has any place to live. So again, everyone just has a tent that they're living in. And when I went there, it was January. And so it was like 25 degrees out. We were inside the house. The house didn't have heat and they didn't have hot water, but alhamdulillah, it was a house there. And even inside the house at night, we were cold. And we say, yeah, bichara, they're outside in a tent. They probably have just a kambal and that's it, to protect themselves through the night kind of deal. So that was the other,
and that too in January, February.
right, that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, cold weather. Yeah, so when we were there, it was cold.
The travel that you had from the airport or entering and going to where you were supposed to be, you saw a lot of tents also. But did you see some, because they're saying 70 to 80% of the building or build-up area, they've destroyed it. So did you happen to see that site also?
Right. So I think, like I said, a lot of that is from, because we were, quote, in an area that hadn't been, quote, bombed. And so again, a lot of that more is in the north. But yeah, so then, like I said, it was dark at night. So again, and they have no electricity or anything of that sort. So we didn't really see much. Like I said, you could see the tents just from the road as our lights from the van is hitting them. But then the next morning, as we drove in, then, so again, the next morning, we met with the Minister of Health there, and then he said, oh, well, welcome and all this kind of stuff.
That was the first day of yours.
Correct. The next morning. So then, but as we, as we're going in, then you see houses. And that's the thing, is that, again, there are some houses, alhamdulillah, we were still in the house, but as you go through, you see houses that are just rubble, houses that have just been, hit by these bombs, these cars that are, exploded on the side of the road and things of that sort. And, just the people, like I said, there's just thousand people, just out and about. And so the one thing about the people, mashallah, they were so receptive to us. They were so appreciative that we came. And, and again, the little kids, they're like, hello, what's your name? Again, kind of deal. They know 3 words. Hello, how are you? And what's your name? So that's like the only English that they know. But alhamdulillah, they had a smile on their face. And then as we're driving in, we're like, what's this big line? And again, they said either that's the line for food or water. Like, and everyone was calm, fashion, orderly. They said, alhamdulillah, whatever they get kind of deal. The people there are full of iman. There's no question about that.
The calm and the iman is because of the life that they have lived, and a generation before, and a generation before.
Exactly, right.
So it has passed on also, and they've been seeing all these atrocities and living it.
Right.
And now every moment of life that they can lay their hands on, and people, the friendly faces,
right,
they're like angels to them.
Yeah, exactly. So again, from my time, like I said, it was a drop in the bucket for me that we could do anything for them, but they were so thankful. Thank you so much for coming and helping. And their main thing was that, just tell the world what is really going on here.
Yeah. But as a professional, as a doctor, as a surgeon, I do understand, because you always want to do what you're there for, and with all the formalities and trying to figure out things, and doing everything where to get located and stuff. You must be thinking now, when do we start the work?
Right.
The hospital, where are the patients? What do I need to do?
Right.
All of that. So it happened the second day or the third day?
Yeah. So no. So the night we got to that night. Yeah. So again, I guess it was the third day. So then we went and met the Minister of Health, and then we were supposed to start in Al Nasser Hospital. And then when we got there, because everything is always changing there, that's when we'd initially planned on going there. And then we got there, they're like, Israel's surrounded it. It's off limits. You can't go there. So we're like, okay. So then there's another little hospital, a little makeshift hospital that we converted from a clinic into a kind of hospital. It has 2 operating rooms. So why don't you guys go there? So the first day we go there, and the issue is that everyone from the north, they've lost their house, they lost everything. So they've actually come to the South. So they have physicians who are in the South now, who are orthopedic surgeons, who are plastic surgeons. And for them, they like to work in the hospitals because they have a place to stay now, because they can stay in the hospital. The hospital will usually provide them some food, and at least, they have water and electricity, things of that sort. Versus, in the North, they have nothing anymore.
So are they fighting with indigenous doctors, like Palestinian doctors there too?
Correct. Yeah. So if you ever like Al Shifa Hospital, that was the first hospital to get shut down. So the plastic surgeon and the orthopedic surgeon, the head of those programs, came and they were working at the hospital that we ended up working at, the European Gaza Hospital. So, but yeah, so there's people who are from Palestine who are coming and working in these other hospitals to help out. And then there was a vascular surgeon who, so the Med Global has a clinic. So the first day we went to this Al Najjar hospital, the two room OR, and again they had some plastic surgeons, some orthopedic surgeons, but they only had like 2-3 cases there, and it wasn't well organized, and there wasn't really much that was coming in there. So we said, this isn't why we came here. We came to really help these people out. So then the next, we went back to the home that night, and we're like, is there a bigger place that we can really help out? So they said, yeah, there's a European Gaza hospital, but again, they also have physicians there and other groups. And so then, like you said, the plastic surgeon who was there, he's like, I'm gonna go there tomorrow. I'm like, you go ahead and go there. I'm going to go to the clinic because I wanted to be helpful, because the first day in that other hospital, there was cases. They had 2 orthopedic surgeons there, 2 plastic surgeons. They had 2-3 cases, nothing for us to do. So we wasted that day. So I said, at least let me go to the clinic, because they said, we have a wound care clinic there where, we see 150 patients a day. Let me go there, do some help there, at least get some, not waste another day trying to figure out what we can do. So my friend, the plastic surgeon, he went to the European Gaza hospital, and then I went to the clinic. And again, the clinic, in the clinic, like I said, we saw a bunch of things, but one of the horror stories was that there was a 5-year-old child who came in, and so I think he was running in the street and he got hit by a car. So a man brings him in. So I'm like, isko kya hua? And he says, oh, he got hit by a car. And he said, oh, I'm just, someone on the side of the road who like picked him up. The butcher was alert. So, we said, where are your, where's your parents? Do you have any family? Anything? He's like, no, my whole family's dead. They've been killed. Butcher 5 saal ka hai. Again, I can't believe, I have just, I have 4 kids. I can't believe for them to be all alone from the age of 5 years old. What are they going to do? Right. Right. What happened? Like I said, just some person who was on the side of the road was like, let me just bring him in and help him out, kind of deal, and then enough that he ended up breaking his arm, so again, we ended up putting on a plaster and things of that sort. Like, these are the stories that you see, and this is what you're seeing, that again, there's so many orphans there, who have no one to help them. And so in the first day, I just worked at the clinic, again, multiple different things, that we saw there. And then that evening I went back, and then he's like, no, they do have 4 operating rooms, and they, 2 of them are the plastic surgeon doing all of these wound debridements, cleaning them out, things of that sort. And then they have an ortho room, and then they have another room, so they said there are teams, but I think we'll be more helpful there. So then, I had made some friends, in the clinic. So I worked one more day there, but then I went to the European Gaza hospital. And so they actually had some orthopedic residents there. So it's, a well-established hospital. They had anesthesia. So everything that we were doing, alhamdulillah, was somewhat normal. But even then, like talking about sterility and cleanliness, again, it's not like we have here in the States, and so it's not like you have an Aga Khan, again, it's nothing, so again, we're trying to make do with whatever we had, but alhamdulillah, like I said, that's why we brought all those different supplies, like the iodine to clean things up, that we can clean up all these wounds and help them out and things of that sort.
So the trip was supposed to be 2 weeks?
So it was 13 days total from leaving here to coming back here.
And you knew exactly that you'll be back after 13 days?
Correct.
Okay. So there was no kind of,
unless I got stuck there for some reason.
Otherwise, the whole plan was for 13 days.
Correct. Yeah.
And how many surgeries did you and your fellow doctors?
Yeah. So that was, I thought I would be working day and night, all day, all night long. But the problem is that, the bombs that they're letting off there, they're there to kill people. So not many people survive. And so, every day we'd have someone who was either in a car or in a building or something who would, end up losing like a leg or an arm or something of that sort. So, once a day we'd have a trauma like that. But realistically, one day, like I said, everything was through the World Health Organization. And so whenever we traveled from either the house to the hospital to wherever, we had to notify them that, hey, we're traveling. And again, I think they notified, the IDF saying these are Americans traveling, so we actually had to get like a red light or a green light to move. So then one day we actually had like a red light for an hour, and we finally got the green light to go to the hospital. So we're going to the hospital, and literally like a block away, a bomb goes off. So again, so
now, because I am from the army, so for a regular person, the bomb, when it goes off, Urdu mein kehte hain dil dahal jate.
All right.
So what happens is the bomb has a shock effect. And then it was just a block away. How was that feeling?
I mean, we're in the van, we were traveling kind of deal. So again, that, so then we're like, what do we see about? And then all of a sudden we see the smoke go up and things like that. So man, we was this close, so then, but the one time that it was even worse is that I was in the hospital doing surgery at 8 o'clock at night, and 2 bombs went off somewhere in the vicinity. Literally the whole hospital shook, the whole OR shook.
And they were saying you're in a vicinity clear of the safe zone and everything.
Yeah, so again, so there's no safe zone there, right? So that was the time that, dil dharak raha tha, yaar, shahada bhi le le, kya hai, to wo, yeah,
but that's crazy, being from the artillery, and otherwise also if they're dropping bombs from the airplane also, they know the safe zone also, and the UN mission, everything, and the hospitals, but still they didn't care.
Right.
It was so obvious.
Yeah.
And the way you're saying that they're actually trying, to kill people rather than injuring them.
Right.
But recently, today, the numbers was 31,272 people have been killed, and more than 73,000 have been injured.
Right.
And then the rest of the days, how was the...
Yeah. So then, like I said, I mean, so those are those cases, I mean, obviously someone who's been, hit by a bomb, I mean, those take 4 or 5 hours, because you're dealing not only with that, then they have shrapnel in there, you have to clean all that out, washing them out, doing all this kind of stuff. And again, usually, it'd be a couple surgeons working on the person at a time. So that was like some of the time we do that. Occasionally, you'd have someone who has a normal broken hip or something like that, so you'd fix that. And then, like I said, a lot of the cases where, every 2 days you bring these people back who had the external fixators, make sure everything was clean, wash it out. And then, some people had big bone gaps, like up to 5 centimeters. So then, once it's clean, then we can do another definitive surgery to shrink it and to allow it to heal up. And like the plastics people would do like a graft and things of that sort. So, I mean, again, we were there to do whatever we could help doing. So it was interesting because the Arab log, they start late. So like they wouldn't start surgery till like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then there was a curfew in Gaza that you were supposed to be home by Maghrib time. So pretty much, we were supposed to leave the hospital by like 4:30 or 5. Yeah, I mean, we're starting here for 11 o'clock in the morning, only till 4:35. So then me and the plastic surgeon said, hey, let's just stay at the hospital. So then, so alhamdulillah, they gave us, a little gadda, blanket, pillow. So we stayed there for about 5-6 days.
Okay.
Yeah, just
the last 5-6 days.
Yeah.
To make the best use of what you
can do
with your time.
Exactly.
To get the full Radio Azad experience, download the Radio Azad app from the App Store or Google Play and take us with you everywhere.